Good morning, everybody. Good morning and happy Tuesday. Hope you all are doing well, and hope you can hear me as well as usual. If you could quickly let me know if the audio and visual is working for you, that would be amazing. And then we should be able to get started here in just a minute. Actually, we're probably 3 minutes early, so we'll get started in maybe 2 or 3 minutes. 2 minutes. Got another notable move this morning in silver that we are going to discuss. We've got another big move in uranium yesterday. So we'll look at that as well. Yeah, we're going to get started shortly here. If you could just quickly let me know if the audio and visual is good, then that would be awesome. And then we'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. Perfect. Had a couple of user questions as well. One question came in on Carvana, so we're going to address that one here today. All right. Almost ready to go. Okay, perfect. Let's get started. So, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Today is the 17th of June. It's, once again, seems to be going quicker than many like. Reminder, this week we do have on Thursday, U.S. markets are going to be closed. I can tell you it was just on a long flight. Everyone's traveling this week. I know that probably half of the people that I know that work up in New York are basically traveling this week because of the sort of the proverbial bridge that they can do with Thursday being a day off. So I wouldn't be surprised, and we discussed this yesterday in the Trade Ops HQ, our members area, that this might well be one of those boring weeks where it's almost like an August week. But I always say that that's also the kind of weeks where things can happen unexpectedly. I'm not expecting something necessarily. I don't have anything in mind, but I'm saying we need to keep that and keep an open mind to that. So, Set the Market, Serge Berger here from thesteadytrader.com. If you're here for the first time, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out and certainly helps you out being able to get updated in real time when we go live with our analysis. Also, as always, please give us a thumbs up like. That ensures us that we can be able to continue to do this show, because then the algorithms pick up the show, and that of course helps us being able to continue to do the show. We are going to do our member session in the Market Rover for the Market Rover members in about 15 minutes. So I'll see you guys over there. And at 11 o'clock Eastern today, so in, what is it now, 9, so in 2 hours, we're doing a very special session where we're going to talk about the sequence of a trend change. It looks like this, where it starts with extreme oversold, then it moves into momentum, and then into trend. We're going to talk about that in great detail at 11 o'clock, so at Eastern, so in 2 hours from now. So make sure you join us for that as well. I think that'll be very helpful for all of you. So what's some of the top things on my radar or my notepad this morning? Number one, I want to give you an update on silver. As you guys know, I personally remain long silver. That hasn't changed. Up again this morning. We'll address a question that came in on Carvana. We'll look at uranium and one particular, or actually uranium, yep. And so I'll put that on the thing here. And then we'll start off as we usually do with the U.S. equity market. Now, before we even do that, let's just kind of give us a little bit of perspective of where we are. The theme that we've been laying out since April of last year, so that's 14 months now, is that we're going into an era where the S&P 500 is going to underperform. And we think we've gotten to that point now. So we need to just be mindful of that. That's going to hurt a lot of people's portfolios because a lot of people are just passively allocated to the S&P. And unless they become really good at picking the right sectors and stocks, which most people are not, and that includes looking at other asset classes, most people are going to do very poorly for the next probably 5 to 10 years. And so you can see it's starting, right? So you can see, again, the S&P up 3, the NASDAQ up 5. Semiconductors are up 8 now in the year. Bitcoin up 17, copper up 20, silver up 25, actually more than 25 now. Gold up 28, German stocks up almost 30, and of course uranium is up 42%. Where I think we find a lot of value in terms of allocation, not value as a metric for measuring a value stock, is by looking for strong trends. Trends that are turning into trends, but before were simply just momentum moves. So I'll give you a quick example of that. Just starting off with something like uranium. Okay, so uranium, and this is what we're going to cover at 11 o'clock or so in 2 hours from now as well. So I'm just give you a bit of an idea of how this is sequencing, and then we'll look at silver as well. But here's uranium. So this is our trender indicator, and you can see uranium has given us a very nice trending buy signal. A momentum buy signal. Apologies, a momentum buy signal using our trender indicator. And uranium, at least as of yesterday's close, was up 55%. If you are an ETF Silo Pro member, we sent out an email yesterday to take profits on that position just because it's moved a lot. And for another reason, which I'm going to cover right now. But so far, this move in uranium has just been a momentum move. If we go into our Market Rover software, you will see that although uranium is no longer in a bearish trend, it is not in a bullish trend, because all the uranium has done is kind of go back to where it was a little bit above now, where it was a few months ago. So it takes more time for a real sustainable trend to develop. And that's really important because once these sustainable trends develop, they can be those really, really lucrative long-term bullish moves that we can take advantage of. To give you an idea of what those will look like, you can look at a stock and just go with a big one like Nvidia, which actually right now is still neutral trend, right? So this is so important. So you can see how Nvidia is actually not in a long-term bullish trend right now because we had that neutral period, then we had a little bit of a bearish period. We had that very difficult April. I mean, that was a V-shaped reversal of epic proportions, but it's not yet in a bullish trend. What you want as a bullish trend is something that really goes higher with not a whole lot of volatility. And we think things like uranium and some other things like silver may be getting into a lot of commodities, and that's what we're going to talk about in 2 hours from now, are going to start heading into that direction. And that is a very different environment where then trend following can be done in that space. So just to give you a bit of an idea there, silver, by the way, has already made that move. Silver is in a long-term bullish trend. In fact, it's been choppy, but it has remained in a bullish trend, and we continue to like what it's doing. Now, silver earlier this morning, it was up even more. Let me quickly show you what it looks like. And of course, you guys know I've been very bullish, very publicly bullish silver. I have to show you the silver futures, of course, or I'll show you silver spot prices so you can see today's move, because obviously the U.S. cash market hasn't opened yet for today. But here you can see it, silver spot up about almost 1.8%. It was up a bit more earlier. So, we're getting a very classic sort of consolidation and go move. And again, that can lead into much stronger, more sustainable moves. Initially, this is a classic case of exactly what I was trying to show you before. And again, we'll cover this in much more details in an hour and 3/4 at this point or so, where again, we had that strong move that was basically momentum, and that then turned into a more sustainable trend. So that's what's going on. Silver, I still think silver can go much higher, $40, $45 over time. Who knows, maybe way more, but I kind of try to take it, $3, $4, $5 at a time. So that's where we are there. Uranium, just quickly going back to this one, again, it's not actually yet in a long-term bullish trend. All that uranium has done, it has broken out, right? So let's be clear. But just because it's broken out now for a few days doesn't make this, a breakout that leads to a strong bullish trend. I mean, it has all of this to contend with, right? So uranium had a horrible time, for like a decade, actually exactly a decade, and then slowly started changing. In fact, let me take a quick note. And if you guys have questions, please let me know. I see a question, Bob, on silver. I will definitely get to that. Okay. But this is what's going on with uranium. So let's not mistake a momentum move, which has so far taken place in uranium, with a more sustainable long-term trend. It has not yet happened, but again, we think that is likely to happen here going forward. Let's quickly talk about Carvana. Speaking of long-term trends, so I very publicly have I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, something like that, said that I'm willing to go short Carvana. I'm currently long, and if you're a member of Trade Ops, I'm currently long a put spread, meaning I'm short the stock via put spread. And the question that came in from a user is, how do you know how long to stay with a trade like this? We use our momentum indicators for that. So what I basically did with Carvana, to me it got to a very big double top, and I am right now what I'm waiting for Carvana to maybe add to the position. I'll show you this here. On the short side, I'm waiting now for a basically bearish momentum. It hasn't happened yet, so I took a trade because I thought the stock was overbought from a double top long-term perspective, because insiders were selling a whole bunch of structural things like that. But now what I'm looking for is, I'm not adding to the position. I'm not taking profits, but I'm not adding to it until or if we get a momentum move, and we have not yet received a new momentum move to the downside. So to me, this is more like a wait and see right now. I'm not going to add to this position, but that's kind of what I'm waiting for right now with Carvana. And I mentioned this before. I think the stock can easily go down into the low 200s. But again, at this point, I need to wait for an actual momentum sell signal. I haven't seen it yet. Again, the reason I took the trade in Carvana is not because I got a momentum sell signal, but because the stock reached a very important, what I think in hindsight might be a double top, which is basically the highs from 2021 and the highs now. So that's hopefully the gentleman who asked the question. Maybe you're here, maybe you're not, but we said we would address the question here. So, and if anyone has any more questions, please let me know. Now, back to silver. Bob is saying he is long silver calls. He's asking me to comment specifically on his options trade. Bob, the trouble with the question, unfortunately, is that it really borderlines advice, and I can't give advice. So I'm going to try to answer the question in a different way. Okay, I have to be very compliant. Most of the trading things out there are completely non-compliant, and a lot of these people are going to get shut down. So just so you know, so I want to make sure we remain very compliant. My thesis for silver is that I think it's going to go higher through the lens of multiple quarters and possibly multiple years. So what I'm looking to do, and what I have done, is basically keep a core long position in silver. With gold, I own GLD and some other stuff. With silver, just because it's more volatile and I can get a bit more leverage, I'm basically long silver futures. Options work as well, certainly. The trouble with options, there's good things about options, and I use options every day, and then there's bad things about it. The trouble with options is that you have to constantly trade something, right? You have to constantly be managing that position. So whether one wants to be, long options via, calls or futures, silver, whether one wants to be long silver via longer dated options, like what you're saying here, Bob, or with futures like I am, or just owning SLV is a personal question, right? That's why I can't comment specifically on your position, because it really borders advice. What I'm really looking to do is have this core holding. If and when silver were to get very overbought, we use something called our vertical X Pro indicator, which would then, for me, be a position where I would go in and start basically hedging it for a short period of time. To give you an example of that, Bob, here is what this looks like in gold. So, and you guys might recall, I talked about this very publicly, in April when this took place. So this is gold, and I'm remain gold. I never sold a penny, and I'm just as long gold as I ever was. But I started selling futures against it, so that would be equivalent to your short calls that you have on silver, because I thought it was getting short-term overbought, because our indicator told us it was short-term overbought. So, I guess that's my sort of indirect way of saying I think what you're trying to do may make sense, but I will caution that silver is a very volatile asset, right? So this thing can move. Silver, if you let me just go back to the performance metrics so you guys can see this here. So the performance metrics are as such. So silver now, year to date, is up 25%, but over the past 1 month, silver's up 11%. Now uranium's even faster, but silver can be very, very volatile, right? So that would be my sort of caution. Which is why for these trades right now, I'm really trying to only do something on the short side if I get an extreme overbought reading, and I don't have that yet on silver. Nicholas is asking, on Carvana, where will you be up the signals? Most likely in trade ops. So if you're a trade ops member, I'll talk about it in there, certainly. Again, so far with Carvana, I remain basically long a put spread. I added a put spread early last week. I think I'm long like the 300, 280 bear put spread, something like that. So yeah, we will talk about that in trade ops. Yeah, there's a lot of moves taking place in the energy space, as Steve is pointing out. We talked a lot about bullish energy moves. Gosh, I have a whole list of energy stocks that I've done have these bullish moves. Like for example, VST, EQT, LEU. Some of those names are nuclear related, which of course is energy as well. Steve's pointing out Occidental Petroleum. ConocoPhillips had a nice trend move last week. That continues. So this is a quick update here from our end. We'll see you guys over in Trade Ops in the Market Rover member session here, Inner Circle, in just a minute. So we'll see you guys over there for those of you guys that are Market Rover members, and we'll talk about a lot more of these trends. There's a lot of stuff happening in the financials. JB and I are going to go through some really, really interesting developments in the financial space using the Market Rover. So we'll see you guys over there. And don't forget at 11 o'clock Eastern, so in about an hour and 40 minutes, something like that, we will see you in a special webinar where we're going to talk about trends, how we capture the major trends. Because again, there's a difference between a momentum move and capturing the trend. Momentum move can be very lucrative, but ultimately we want to ride the big trends. And if we miss those, then quite frankly, we shouldn't really be trading or investing. So anyway, hopefully this is helpful. Happy Tuesday. Remember this week, as I said earlier, we do have Juneteenth on Thursday, so I would expect, again, outside of any major news developing, this to be a pretty choppy and maybe boring week. But again, these boring weeks can quickly turn into chaos if something happens, because a lot of people are not there. I can tell you, a lot of the desks that I speak with, in New York are very thinly staffed this week, which is kind of a summer thing anyway, but this week seems to be a bit extreme. So anyway, see you guys over in the members areas, and again in about an hour and 20 minutes or hour and a half or so in that special session. Take care, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, 9 Eastern, New York time. And if you haven't done so, please make sure you give us a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel. That really helps us be able to continue to do this show, and it helps you out to know when we go